Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Don't Let Them Stop You radio show with me, your host, Angela Morris, broadcasting from Chalk Hill Community Radio Station. So this week, my special guest, well, all my guests are special. However, here's my special guest. Her name is Tabor Bajar. Now, Tabor is most extraordinary, I have to say. She's been on the show before, and what she'll be sharing today will be just groundbreaking. Tabor's an author, now TEDx speaker, and her journey of supporting people who have children with autism, including her own son, is just extraordinary. And I'm keep using the word extraordinary, guys, because it is, and I'm very excited to have her on. So, but first of all, Tabor, how are you?
I'm good, Angie. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, for our listeners who may not have heard the interview before, Tabor, can you just tell us about what really sparked your interest in developing new techniques for autism management?
Okay, so what sparked my interest in developing new techniques for autism management is the experience I had with my own son. So when he was 20 months old, so when he was born, he didn't have any signs of autism at all. He had eye contact. He had words. He had social skills. Sleep was fine. There was no concerns really at all. He was feeding himself. And then when he was 20 months old, within about 1 to 2 months, he had such a sharp skills regression.
Right.
So where he lost words, stopped looking at our eyes. Sleep was very erratic. Like he was wide awake in the middle of the night, did not seem tired the next day, and it was like a completely different child. So fast, so
Right.
dramatic. And I have sisters who are teachers, and they told me he has autism.
Right.
These are autism symptoms, and he needs early years intervention. So I went to my GP and health visitor. I told them everything that when he was born, he had no symptoms, and he was fine. He had words, and now now look at him. He's scared of loud noises. He's so anxious. All of these new symptoms, and they told me, yes, he has autism. Like looking at his symptoms, this is all classic autism. I'm like, okay, how did he get it? It's genetic. And I was like, no, it can't be genetic because he wasn't born like this. If
Right.
it was genetic, he'd be born like this.
Right.
And they said, no, he always had the genes. It's just being expressed later. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, if he like, how can they just dismiss it as it was genetic when he clearly wasn't born with it. It must be environmental. So that set me on my own journey to
Right.
learn all about the environmental causes of autism and how we can is there a way like what are the environmental influences for autism basically? Set me
Yeah.
on the journey.
Sorry, and I think it's important for our listeners to also understand, Tabor, not to what's the word, take away from anybody's experience or anybody's thing, but you were in medical training, so your
Yeah.
background,
Yeah, I used to be a dentist.
yeah, so you're not,
Yeah.
not to take away from anybody else,
Yeah.
because we know one of the things they say about autism is that parents are in denial
Yeah.
of
No.
the condition, but because you are coming from a medically trained background,
Yeah.
your questioning was probably quite, they probably didn't expect it.
Yeah. I guess I wasn't going to be so easily dismissed.
Right.
And every time I challenged him, like I challenged him, like, oh, what about neuroplasticity? So neuroplasticity is something we learned about in neuroscience when we did neuroscience modules at dental school, and it's the idea that you can rewire your brain. And when I told him, like, what about neuroplasticity? Like, he's so young, can't we rewire his brain and change things for him? And they said, no, neuroplasticity only applies to people who have a stroke. It doesn't
Right.
apply to children with autism. And I was like, I don't think they know. And this was coming from physiotherapists and occupational therapists who were working with my son after he got assigned those therapists after his autism skills regression from
Right.
the NHS. And I was thinking, they don't have that same experience. They don't know much about neuroscience. But as a dentist, you're a head and neck specialist. So we
Right.
learned all about this.
So that sent you on your own personal quest
Yeah.
because you
To
weren't
help my
getting the
own son.
answers that
No.
you, and
And
then
I
not
wasn't really
prevent,
getting the help.
right,
They would just basically every time I told them, my son's now doing this, he's doing this, look at this video. And they just kind of like I felt like they had written him off.
yeah.
Like,
Do you think
oh
they were
yes.
were they skeptical of what you were sending over? Like, yeah, oh bless her,
I think they were like a bit frazzled by my questions. I don't think a lot of parents ask those same questions.
right,
And they were more I think they just wanted to decrease my own expectations of him.
right,
So when I said, "Oh, can we do this? Can we do that? If I change this, would it make a difference?" No, he's always going to have autism. Their only answers were like therapies, like speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, and that was it.
right,
They weren't looking at anything else. Like they weren't looking at diet, they weren't looking at environmental causes, they weren't looking at trauma, they weren't looking at anything.
right,
And
right,
yeah, that just and I had met loads of parents whose child have had years of therapies and they had made no progress.
mm,
And that the parents tell me like it hasn't had any help, like they've had years of speech and language therapy and they're still exactly the same. So I was
right.
like, oh God, that doesn't I don't want that to happen to my child.
But there was something you talked about neuroplasticity, which I do
Yeah,
know about, but maybe our listeners don't really know about it. It's about how the brain can rewire itself
absolutely.
with
Yeah.
suggestions and auto suggestions.
Yeah.
So, what was it about that diagnosis that made you push back against it and say, well, actually, I hear you, but kind of like, I don't think that for my child, that's going to be the way forward? There must have been
But
something kind of bothering you that you just
the
felt
main thing is,
unsatisfied. Yeah,
I think I before having a child, I always imagined a certain life for him. And then now to see him struggling in public,
right,
to see him, being so anxious everywhere, completely mute, not having any friends, like is it like a loud noise and be completely terrified from
right.
it. I just kept thinking, I don't want this for him.
Yeah,
And is there a way I can help him? And like his sleep was so bad, was so bad. It was like that for like about over a year.
which meant that
And
your sleep as his mother would
yeah,
also be
mine
impaired.
and my husband's sleep were
Yeah,
really, really bad.
yeah,
And we're just always worried about him.
mm,
So it was almost like a choice. Like we can just always be worried about him and do nothing, or we can use that worry to try and fuel a behavior change and try and do the best for him. And that
right.
spurred my journey on.
Okay, so there's an event coming up which we're going to talk about somewhere in the middle, right?
Okay,
Which you're
sure.
going to be putting on, and the reason that I'm having you on, Tabor, is I want everybody who has any connection with any child whatsoever, whosoever that has autism, to join this masterclass that you're going to be doing, which is absolutely free. But
Yeah.
let's start talking about your approach because I know now that you support many families with
Yeah.
children with autism. So tell us what makes your approach different to the traditional methods that parents may already know about.
So, what makes my approach different is I address all of the known biological causes of autism. So,
Right,
autism isn't just genetic, it's epigenetic, which means that if you change the environment around the child and inside the child, that internal environment, you can decrease the severity of their symptoms. So, that's actually what my TEDx talk was about, how you can decrease a child's autism symptoms just like a dimmer switch
right,
based on the environmental influences. So if you change something in a child's biological environment, you can increase or decrease their symptom severity. So so my approach, what I did for my own child was I looked up every single known cause of autism. Like so looking at what are all the factors that autistic children have in common, things like a leaky gut, things like higher concentration of heavy metals inside of them coming from their environment, things like methylation issues.
well, sorry,
Um,
I'm gonna have to jump in there. The leaky gut,
yes,
I get.
yeah,
I get that. um
heavy
you
metals.
Heavy metals, again, touch on that a little bit. I don't want to take
Yeah,
away from Tim things you might be showing in your masterclass.
no, I don't mind.
Method,
Yeah,
method.
methylation.
What's that?
Okay, so methylation is a process that we all do 3 billion times in a second. And
Wow.
basically, yeah, 3 billion times in 1 second. And what it means is it's like how we get raw materials from our environment, for example, food. We eat it and then we convert the food into something usable that our body can use.
Right.
That conversion process is called methylation.
Oh, okay. It's not the same as like they talk about kilojoules for calories and energy. Not that
No, no,
then.
no.
No.
That's the kind kilojoules for energy. It's just kilojoules is just a measurement of energy.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm talking about how you may eat an apple, but
Hmm.
in your body doesn't will not like use the apple completely. It will just take like a vitamin from the apple, convert it into a usable form,
Hmm.
and then use that usable form to do its processes. So that conversion process is called methylation.
Wow. Okay. So you looked at methylation. Sorry, I had to stop you there.
It's
Tell you, but
okay.
I honestly, I learned so much from you. Yeah. So you looked at that as well. So when we're
Yeah,
talking about research, we are not here also, let's just clarify. You did a lot of research. This was not just Googling stuff about autism, right?
absolutely not. It's basically I won the clinical research prize in my year at dental school.
Right.
So I got that prize because I was able to conduct my own research
Right.
and as a whole it was like an 18-month project and I won the best like, in our year.
Right.
So out of the whole of Bristol Dental School for that year group, I came out number one. So
Wow.
I really know how to do a literature review
Yeah.
and evaluate research papers. That's like foundational to conducting research.
Right.
So I was able to do all that.
Okay. So your expertise at being able to do research, and again, just I want the listeners to be kind of clear. This wasn't just jumping on Google or going to some AI program and asking questions. This was proper in-depth research, probably like PhD level stuff that they do and do
Yes,
peer
and I actually
reviewed.
spoke
Yeah.
to PhD students as
Yeah.
well.
Right. 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 Okay.
Yeah.
So you're doing you did your research. You started to uncover some things.
Yeah.
So um, talked about metals. Tell
Yes.
me a bit about that.
So, our environment is actually has become progressively toxic and we're not even realizing it.
Right.
For example, we're all exposed to so many more like metals and plastics and other chemicals in our daily life that we never were before.
Yes.
Microplastics is one that's commonly in the news. So something like non-stick pans, they leach microplastics
Right.
that goes into our bodies and causes inflammation. And
Wow.
yeah, so you must
Can
have
we
heard
get
about
something else other than a non-stick pan, or just don't
yes,
use them?
yeah, exactly. So you can replace that with stainless steel or cast iron.
Right.
So it's like we are surrounded by so many chemicals, and we're not even realizing it. And then the children with autism are more likely to have like slow detoxification pathways.
Right.
So, in general, a child under 10, their detoxification pathways, which means things like how you get toxins out of your body, your
Hmm.
gut, your liver, your kidneys, and your skin, they aren't as efficient as an adult's.
Right.
And
Okay.
children with autism, their detoxification pathways are more slower and like sluggish
Right.
compared to other children their age.
Okay. Okay.
So if they're being exposed, like we all are, exposed to so many chemicals in our daily life, like I said, the microplastics from the cooking, or when we eat ultra high processed foods, they
Hmm.
actually have so many E numbers and chemicals inside them, and we need to get rid of them from our body. But
Right.
if your detoxification pathways are slower, they will build up more in your body.
Right.
And if they build up more in the body, you've got more inflammation.
Right.
So it's like getting rid of that inflammation so that if you do that, you can like decrease hyperactivity, improve sleep, have it, clearer thinking, less brain fog, all of that stuff.
Right. So children who have autism are prone to these things having more inflammation and
Yeah,
gut
they're more
issues.
likely to have this. Yeah,
Right.
so there's actually quite a lot of autistic children with autism where the parents will say they have unexplained diarrhea or they have chronic constipation, so they take a laxative for that. They have a prescription for laxative for constipation. It's
Right.
actually linked to autism. They're not separate issues.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So your approach sounds incredibly holistic.
It is really holistic. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a holistic approach. So you're not just looking or trying to treat the symptoms, but you're trying to treat the
absolutely not.
body so
Yes.
the symptoms will then reduce.
Absolutely. So what I actually find is that the children who I work with who are at special needs school, usually at special needs school, they have access to speech and language therapy
Hmm.
and things like that through the school, but they don't have the concentration or the focus to benefit from the appointments.
Right,
Usually, after working with me, getting that clearer for the better, improving their focus, they can actually now benefit from the speech and language therapy and
right.
all the other therapies. So it's not just, oh, the child can't talk, give them speech and language therapy.
Sure.
It's about, okay, let's help them heal from the inside so they now have the focus and concentration to be able to learn new skills.
Right. So moving on to your class that
Yes.
you're going to be having. So you mentioned that in the class you're going to be talking about helping children become more confident, conversational,
Conversational
and
and calmer.
calmer. The three C's.
Yes.
So okay. So can you, Tabor, walk us through what that transformation typically looks like?
Okay. So every child is completely different. So, but like I would say like a typical child on my program, before they come to me, they've had a few years, with the NHS services. So
Hmm.
usually they have an autism diagnosis or they don't have an official diagnosis, but everyone knows they have autism, the
Yeah.
teachers know and everyone knows. So and the parents have use all the NHS services and school services, and they don't really see any difference in their child. So I get a lot of parents saying to me, I haven't seen any improvement in my child for the last, 3, 4 years, even though they've been going to a special needs school.
Right.
So, so usually that child will also have sleep issues. So they won't be sleeping the whole night. They'll be take a long time to fall asleep at night. Usually that child will also have gut issues. So they'll have on and off constipation or unexplained diarrhea. So that's quite a good sign that they have leaky gut.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Sorry, I'm gonna just drop in there. So, and again, for people that are kind of listening, I really hope that people will kind of understand that today what Taby's sharing. So things like leaky gut, because children do have things like diarrhea and constipation, and you're saying unexplained diarrhea. So do you want to expand on that a
yeah.
little bit before we go on?
So I think if everyone's eaten a bad takeaway in the family,
Yeah,
and then you've got 3 or 4 people in the family now all have a stomach ache and diarrhea, that's that's quite clearly like food poisoning. That was the
yeah,
origin of the diarrhea. But like even my son, he had unexplained diarrhea all the time. So
right,
I had no idea. Like, God, he's eating the same food as all of us, and the and there's been he doesn't have a fever with it. He's
right,
not sick, but he's always got a runny poo. Like
yeah,
that's strange. And with my clients and the parents I work with, their children will often have chronic constipation.
right,
So even though like the parents say, they eat so much fiber, they eat
yeah.
so much fiber, or but they're always like straining and struggling to poo. So that's quite common, either whether they have, unexplained diarrhea or unexplained constipation.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we were talking about transformation and what that might look like for, again, we know everybody's individual, but kind of a
Yeah.
broad brush atypical journey then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, so they usually would have exhausted NHS and school resources and not really seen much progress in their child. And they would normally have resonated with things I've said about leaky gut and, heavy metals or sleep. And then they would have joined my masterclass. And if they wanted to work with me after that, how it would work is that I would create a personalized plan for that child. So based on the parent's own goals. So like 6 month goals for that child. Usually it's like to sleep the night, to become conversational, to stop wetting the bed, something like that. And then we'd create a personalized plan together. And then I would just work with them on making on like troubleshooting it and making it and helping to actualize it across 6 months.
Right.
And the aim is at the end of the 6 months, the parents have all of the tools that they need to help their child going forward. So yeah, so
Yeah. So
parents use usually a lot of progress, even after 4 weeks, actually.
right.
But
As
you,
quickly as that.
yeah, go as quickly as 4 weeks. Some parents say they see progress.
Right. So I'm just going to quickly jump in before I and ask the question. Do you get involved with assessments or not?
No, so I don't get involved with assessments because
Mm.
if you have if I don't know if you how involved you've been with the UK assessment process.
I know
So
it's a long one.
yeah, so everyone kind of knows it's like a long waiting list,
Hmm.
and parents usually waiting like about 3 years on
Yeah.
average,
Hmm.
could be even 4 years to get that assessment. At the assessment appointment, what typically happens, like what happened with my own son and what happened with like all the parents and children I worked with, is it's about half an hour appointment.
Right.
Um, the doctor spends about 15 minutes reading the report from the parents, what the child's like,
Right.
reading the report from the school teachers
Right.
about what the parents are like, and any other professionals who are involved about what the child's like. And they've kind of already made a judgment that this child is exhibiting autism symptoms,
Right.
because it's also really well known that some children will mask in public. So
Okay.
so so where the child might have like more meltdowns at home and show different behaviors at home, they might be different in a public setting.
Right.
So the doctors will take the report from the parents and the other professionals and the teachers quite seriously in determining their diagnosis. And then they'll spend about 10 minutes with the child, getting the child to do a puzzle, getting the child to tell a story, just observing the child. And then the last 5 minutes explaining to the parent, yes, your child has autism. And that's it.
Right.
And you kind of, everyone already knows, the mum already
Yeah.
knows, the teachers already know. It's not a surprise to anyone.
Yeah.
And then usually they get given a leaflet of where they can get like local charities that would help with autism. And that's about it.
Right.
And a follow-up appointment over the phone 18 months later, which nothing
Wow.
happens in that one either.
Yeah, sure, sure. So
So,
it's a lot. So, as you say, when they come to you, they have a deep suspicion, as most parents are quite intuitive, and they would, your
yeah,
child.
and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
also to even get that referral to go on to the pediatrician assessment waiting list, a few professionals would have already spoken to the mum.
Right,
So the teachers would have spoken to mum about what they've seen and compared that child to other children.
right,
So, and the mum already, all her family and friends will already have their own suspicions that he or she is not developing as normally
right.
and so everyone kind of already knows. So the assessment from the pediatrician is kind of like a formality.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I think maybe for those parents who want to get their child statemented, it can be a bit of a frustrating process. Um, However, your approach to intervention
Yeah.
can supersede the
Yeah.
need to go down the statemented route if they engage with you. So, okay, just before we go again, let me just say you have tuned into the Don't Let Them Stop You radio show with me, your host Angela Morris, broadcasting from Chalk Hill Community Radio Station, and I have Tabor Bajar, um, an incredible young woman who has really developed some groundbreaking techniques for helping parents manage their children with autism. So, what's one technique, Tabor, that parents could try this week that might surprise them with its simplicity? Just one.
Um, so it really does depend on the child.
Mm-hmm.
And but what usually works really well, I've got so many, like a quick one
Yeah,
that
just a
would
quick
work.
one. Yeah,
A quick one would be omega-3 fish oil.
right. So that
So
they take that
like yeah, so
every day.
autism, yeah, so children with autism
Mm-hmm.
are more likely to have an omega-3 index of 1%,
Right,
and which really affects their concentration and focus. And omega-3 is also very anti-inflammatory,
right,
and autistic children are more likely to have an inflamed gut and an inflamed brain.
right,
So like taking an anti-inflammatory like omega-3 and getting it up to the desirable range of 8 to 12% can really improve their focus and
right.
have a calmer child.
Right. So you just mentioned there's something that kind of also threw me, but you said inflamed brain.
Yeah, you
Tell
can
us
get
about that.
you can get inflammation anywhere. So you can get inflamed joints, you can get
Right.
inflamed gut, you can get an inflamed heart, you can get an inflamed, lungs. Inflamed lungs, people know it's called, bronchiectasis, like bronchitis, sorry,
Right.
bronchitis. So anything with itis at the end, so you can get absolutely get an inflamed brain.
Mm, mm,
Um, yeah, so you can see that on a scan.
right.
Yeah.
But so okay. So the average parent that has a child with autism won't necessarily know all of this is going on in their child's body, right?
Yeah.
So so your approach is to kind of start to unpick. And so is some of this like test it and see, or is it like tried and true?
So different things will work for different children,
Right,
but you always have a general rule of thumb.
right.
So you can have like a general rule of thumb. This will work within, 2 weeks or 4 weeks, or this works in like 80% of the cases. But I
Hmm.
think there's always variation, and you're always going to
Sure.
get the 20% of the cases where that doesn't work or
Right.
that makes things worse, and you have to try something else.
Yeah,
So yeah. So you've got general rules of thumb, and but you need to know that like every child will respond differently.
sure. And okay, in terms of things like, so for example, taking omega-3 oils. Like I know it's really good
Yeah.
for you and stuff, but as an adult, I'm not very good at being consistent with those sorts of things. Eventually just you start off all enthusiastic and then you kind of drop off and you go, oh gosh, and they're sitting there. Let's talk about how parents can kind of manage their commitment. And I
Okay.
guess that's where you come in because they're
Yeah.
accountable to you, right? But
Absolutely. Yeah.
that the challenge of managing the commitment to addressing some of these issues that may take weeks, but you've got to like do it every day.
That's true, but I think always reminding yourself of the bigger picture.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
if you didn't do this, what's the alternative?
Right.
Your child will just be getting older and older.
Mm.
And, I think every parent has the fear that their child will never be fully independent
Right.
and they will be their lifelong carer.
Sure. Which
So,
yeah, which is we
yeah,
see that, don't we, in the community? We see lots of people who have that
yeah.
situation. Um, yeah, so that commitment. So um
I,
yeah.
I, u- I
Mm.
usually get like a lot of parents saying, like another common autism symptom is children eloping.
What
So
does
they'll
that
just,
mean?
like they'll just run. They're
Right,
like a
right,
runner.
right, right, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so as soon as the front door's open, they're dashing and
Done.
they're running, and they're not responding to their name. So the parent is just running after them and like praying that the child doesn't run into traffic.
Hmm.
So that's another really common symptom.
Right.
So if the alternative is, you don't do anything at home and you don't see anything and you're not committed, then you're kind of committing yourself to always running after your
Right.
child
Yeah.
as they elope, as they get faster, as they get taller, as they get stronger.
Mm. Mm.
Also, what I've seen when speaking to lots and lots of parents is that autism symptoms seem to get worse around the teen years.
Yes, because you've got that
So,
puberty kicking in as well and all those hormones, right?
absolutely. So, children are hard to manage anyway. Like children with autism are hard to
Hmm.
manage anyway, and then kick in like a lot of children with autism may be developmentally delayed. So
Yes.
maybe not have the words, they may not have the understanding, but when they hit 11 or 12, you're now dealing with periods.
Yeah.
Or if it's a boy, you're now dealing with like, they're much taller and they're
Yeah.
much stronger. Sons often like grow taller than their mums,
Yeah.
and you're still, needing to put their shoes on.
Hmm.
And then these children, like like I worked with one parent, and she said she used to, before she did my program, she used to start the day every single day where her son is hitting her and kicking her as she's trying to put his school uniform on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's
Yeah. And that's a tough gig,
yeah,
like every day, isn't it? But
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It
So
does.
it's
Yeah.
so it's almost, I think just thinking about like that really
Mm.
helps you, helps motivate you and helps you deal with your commitment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I also find that parents are often good at doing things for their children and not good for doing it for themselves.
Sure.
So often any changes, I'm like, oh, you can do this for yourself too. And like, half the time the parent will and half the time they won't. But they'll
Yeah.
be very committed to their child.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
because as we're talking, I'm thinking like because autism obviously is on a spectrum, isn't it? You go
yes,
from mild through to moderate
yeah,
to severe.
yes.
With your program, are you addressing people, children with at all levels of the spectrum, or do you specialize in a particular part of the spectrum?
So usually children who do my program are developmentally delayed.
Right. Okay.
So they have, so if a child has autism, but they're conversational, but they don't really have an crippling anxiety or aggression, um, and they are like, they've got friends and everything like that. I don't see those children. If a child has a developmental delay, so they are, if they have words, they're not talking very much. They're sort of like, selectively like mute, or so they're not conversational. They might have sleep issues. They might have, they poor focus, so they're not doing very well at school. So they have a developmental delay,
Right.
and those are children I'll see.
And are they, um, do you see them within a specific age range? Is there a point where you're like, okay, I can help, I can really give my best if they're within a certain age range? And what would that be?
So usually only help people who are aged between 2 to 12, but I do have exceptions to that rule. So I have a parent who's joined my program, and her son is 20 months old, so he'll be 2 in January. And I'm already working with the parents because they said that we can see all of these signs of autism in him, and we want to do, really early intervention
Right.
so that he goes on like a normal trajectory, like start talking. Because at the moment, that child's nonverbal.
Yeah.
Um, he doesn't really have an understanding of words. He's not waving. He's not saying bye. So all of those things.
Right.
So I have helped children who are under the age of 2,
Right.
and even though I'm typically 2 to 12, if a child is older than 12, but I usually say you should get the child's consent to join the program
Right.
because it does
Right.
require like cooperation from the child,
Mm.
and teenagers aren't that cooperative. But I've had a parent in the past who's done my program as well, and she said that her son isn't really capable of consenting. So even though he's 13 years old, he's not really capable of consenting. Like he's still in nappies,
Right.
and not talking and doesn't really have the understanding. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Like they did my program as well.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's a real mix. So it's age 2 to 12, but I help children outside of that as well.
Sure. And I guess you make a decision based on a case by case basis
Yeah,
if they
case by
fall
case.
out of that
Yes.
remit. So what I'd like you to do, Tabor, is if just share a story about a family where obviously you're going to keep confidentiality, but share a story. I'm sure you have many, but
Yeah, I do.
whatever's front of mind about a
Yeah.
family where these techniques really made a difference.
So I really, really, really do have many, but I will share the one that I spoke to you about right before we hit
Yeah.
record, which is when I appeared on your radio station about a year ago now. So I think
Yeah,
it
it's
was
about a year. Yeah.
no, yeah, no, actually it was about 9 months ago.
Okay.
So it was November
Right.
last year,
Okay.
November
Okay.
2024, and there was a parent who was listening to the show,
Right.
and she got in contact, and her son was 8 years old, and he had words, he was talking, but wasn't really conversational, like he was
Right.
very quiet. He also had a really bad focus in school, so he was like not progressing in school. He also had really poor sleep as well, and he had digestive issues as well. Working with me, so we started working together in January, and then she said a really, really lovely school report from his
Oh,
teachers today with me, and it said that since January he's been on an upward trajectory, and they're
wow.
so happy with his progress. He's now putting his hands up in class more,
Wow.
which is really like you have to like it's quite a brave thing for a child to do.
Absolutely.
He's
It's brave anyway, with or without autism. It's still
yeah,
brave. Yeah.
yeah, and he's doing that now.
Yeah.
And he also used to have like a lot of sibling issues with his older sister,
Right.
where the older sister didn't like she wasn't really happy about having a silent younger brother with autism and extra needs. They're getting on better, which is pretty
Good.
priceless for a mum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And he said he just seems happier as well.
Yeah. Which
So
is every
yeah,
mother's joy,
yeah, it
isn't it?
is. It is. Yeah.
Wow. And that's just in the space of just 6 months, really.
Yeah. 6 months. Yeah.
and are you still working with her, or just light touch, or is it
So
finished?
after 6 months, the program is 6 months long, but usually after 6 months, parents will just send me like, well, they might still WhatsApp me the odd question,
Hmm.
and they'll send me nice updates of their child.
Yeah,
So I love hearing the updates. I got
absolutely.
on the 1st of January, so on New Year's Day, I got so many messages from parents saying, "You thank you so much. You made 2024 the best year of our lives."
Oh,
Like
wow.
I know, and it's like our child's now doing this, he's doing this. You've helped me so much. So I actually like it when parents stay in touch and say these lovely things.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it's great.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, has anybody ever kind of come after you, air quotes, in terms of what do you think you're doing?
Oh yeah, loads.
Oh, really?
Yes, loads. I think people think they get so there's a huge narrative around autism acceptance,
Right.
and I absolutely accept autism.
Hmm.
So my child, he still has a few quirks of autism, but I like to think that he has all the like the good parts in a way.
Right.
Like he
Right.
has a really good visual memory.
Right.
And he actually like he used to have like really strange obsessions, but that has stopped now. So he was used to be like really fixated on drains and what was the other thing? Balconies. But in the last 6 months that has gone now, but that lasted like a good year and a half. Like we're stopping by every single drain to look inside it because he's just fascinated. But I'm still so happy for him because he's talking, he's got friends, he's doing well in school.
Mm.
He can participate in team sports. We go to places, he's comfortable, he's relaxed, he's sleeping the night, he's eating better.
Right.
He actually loves healthy eating. So I'm not, I think when you do a program like this, you don't erase any of the good parts.
Right.
Like, I didn't erase his amazing memory. He is also so creative. So he has like, does like really good drawings and paintings.
Hmm.
And that he did, like, he had that interest in before, and he just carried it on, and he has that, like amazing concentration for that.
Sure.
So sometimes you hear like they say some children with autism, they have like these special gifts, like they might be
Yeah.
amazing at reading, like hyperlexia, or like a really good visual memory. I think my son does fall into the great visual memory,
Right.
but obviously he's done the program and he's still kept that.
Yeah.
It just meant that he's more relaxed,
Hmm.
and he's sleeping better and eating better and happier. He's not
Yeah.
all so anxious.
Yeah.
So I don't erase autism, and I definitely don't say I cure autism. I'm for diversity in every single way. And the more people think differently, the more amazing things we're going to have in this world.
Yeah.
If everyone thought the same, we wouldn't have any progress in the
Be
world.
very dull indeed.
Yeah, it would be very dull indeed, and
Yeah.
there wouldn't be any progress. And you know, no one wants a world like that.
Yeah.
So I don't say I cure autism. I do not attempt to erase autism. My book is called Unlock Autism.
Yeah.
So it's about helping autistic children meet developmental milestones.
Yeah.
They keep all their strengths, and any weaknesses that kind of like decreases a little bit.
Yeah. And I think, and yeah, thank you for mentioning the book. So that's available on Amazon, right?
It's
Yeah.
available everywhere. So Amazon, Waterstones,
Okay. All the
everywhere.
platforms, all
Yeah,
the bookshops. Yeah.
Apple, yeah, Audible as well.
Yeah. Okay. You've done
Yeah.
an audio version. Well done.
Yeah. I'm
Yay.
actually making the audiobook free on my YouTube channel in the
Okay.
next few weeks as well. So
Oh, that's great. So, um, we're going to just jump in and talk about, because the time is going and I've still got a million and one questions, but I can't do them all today. Anyway, what I want to I'm really a great one for debunking myths, because I think a lot of times we just gather information and we're not able to always decode what's what. But what would you say, Tabor, is the biggest misconception that parents have about their, and we touched on it, but I wanted you to come from a slightly different angle. What is the biggest misconception that parents have about their child with autism's potential?
potential. Um, so I think the biggest misconception that society has around autism is
Mm-hmm.
that autism is completely set in stone
Right,
and there's nothing you can do about it
right.
because it's genetic.
Okay,
So when you say something like that to a parent and they almost give up, they're told to give up hope.
right, right.
So I think that's a big misconception from society and including parents.
So
So
basically, diagnosis doesn't mean it's all over.
yeah, it doesn't mean that at all.
Yeah,
You
not
get
even
people with
close.
autism, not
Yeah,
at all. You
yeah.
get people with autism thriving in every single like walk of life.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's what I want for my child, and that's what I'm sure every parent wants for their child.
Sure, sure. So, um, you've got a webinar coming up. Tell us all about
Yes.
that, please.
So I have a free webinar coming up, which is on Sunday, the 17th of August.
Yeah,
Yeah.
coming up.
And at 8 p.m. And it's delivered live over Google Meet. You can register through my website, autismbrainempowerment.com.
Can you
And
repeat that again, just in case they missed it?
yeah, sure. My website is autism brain, so BRAIN,
Hmm. Hmm.
empowerment.com.
Hmm.
So you can register for my free webinar there. And it is going to be all about my 7-step autism action plan. So it's to help. The goal is that every parent will leave that webinar with a 7-step autism action plan, which addresses the root causes of their child symptoms. So the biological causes of their child symptoms,
Right.
and everyone will walk away with that plan.
So to have a takeaway. So it's
Yeah.
not going to be perhaps what you might find in typical parental
No.
resources that are out there.
Yeah, so I feel like all the other like typical parental resources that are out there are more about, okay, these are some typical autism symptoms, and
Right.
then they list almost every symptom out in the sun. So they'll say stuff like, yes, it could be your child could be hyperactive, or your child could have no
Right.
energy at all.
Yes.
Your child can be not eat any food, or they can eat every food under the sun and have a
Right.
great appetite and never feel full.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's all about that's more about explaining the symptoms of autism.
Right.
What's different about my webinar is explaining the biological causes of autism and
Right.
how you can help your child at home.
Right. You're right.
You don't need to wait for anyone to help you.
Yeah, and I guess one of the powerful things that's coming through Tabor in this interview, as usual, is that there is hope. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you don't have to just take it as a quote unquote sentence that you're going
Yeah.
to be, you know, in a situation where you feel powerless or stuck.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
you know, and if there are parents that are listening to, which I'm sure there are, that are actually feeling overwhelmed right now,
Yeah.
just like, oh my god, I don't know what's. I know they need to join your program. That's number one. But is there a little bit of advice you could give them, just that they could take away?
If they're feeling overwhelmed right now, I think it's very hard to teach someone anything if they're feeling overwhelmed.
Right.
So I think you have to look after yourself as a parent.
Mm.
So if you're able to, go for that walk. So
Hmm.
try and make a routine. And when you drop your child off to school, and I know it's school holidays at the moment, but when you drop them to school, go for that 15-minute walk,
Yeah.
even if it's raining.
Yeah.
It will do so much like good for your well-being.
Yeah.
And the better your own well-being, then you can think about helping your child.
Yeah.
But I do really feel like parents have to come first.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
And not feel
yeah,
guilty about
no,
putting themselves
definitely not.
first. You need to
Because
be
you
good for your child, right?
absolutely then you can be the best version of yourself
Hmm.
for your child.
Hmm. And now we're having quite unseasonal weather. I'm not complaining about hot weather because I just don't, but it is unseasonal. And
Yeah,
we know that children with autism, they do find that, sensory needs, the sensory needs can be such that it's a bit too hot, guys.
yeah, it's
you
hot for
know,
everyone. Yeah,
yeah, and more so for them because whereas we go, oh, I'll just go and get myself a cold drink of water, or I'll just go and do that. How can parents support their children? Because we've got another heat wave coming. Yeah, we've got another heat wave coming. We're in it. We've had four. How can a parent or somebody who's looking after somebody? So it may not
yeah.
be their parents, but they may be dropped off to somebody who's looking after them. How can they help their child when it's particularly warm or even hot?
Okay, so I think that the best advice if it's really, really hot is try to get them to drink water.
Yeah.
So that will really help cool them down, stop dehydration. And if your child doesn't like drinking water, you can flavor it. So you
Hmm.
can flavor it with cucumbers or, lemon or mint or
Mm.
Any flavor that your child likes, strawberries and oranges, any flavor your child likes. And you can also add a little bit of like Himalayan salt to it, like pink salt,
Okay.
and that makes it a bit more hydrating for the child. Or
Right.
you can add like a few drops of lemon to it, just a
Right.
tiny like a drop.
Yeah.
Again, that makes it more hydrating and means that they're less likely to get dehydrated.
Yeah. But what we're not advocating or encouraging is lots of sticky sweet drinks, right?
No,
Or
absolutely not.
fizzies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that no, that would just destroy their teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
And
would
you
destroy their
as
teeth.
you know, and also it's
Absolutely. Yeah.
probably to get sugar spikes won't be good for them anyway.
No, absolutely not. Yeah,
Yeah.
so definitely not. Another thing is in the hot weather, children's sleep can be disturbed even more.
Yes. Yes.
So, like another quick tip that can help their child is something like liposomal magnesium.
Okay. And where do you get
Uh,
those from?
You can buy it online.
Okay, it's cool. The magnesium, very familiar with. The first one, not so
L
familiar. What's that called?
Liposomal magnesium.
Right.
So that's magnesium that's like really bioavailable in the body. So it's more easy. It's in a form that the body can absorb better.
Right.
So
Right.
if you have that form of magnesium, it's like 6 times more absorbed compared to normal regular magnesium.
Right. It's
So
called lipobiomagnesia. Is that all one word? Is that yeah.
liposomal,
Oh,
zo
okay.
zomal, so SOMAL, and that's
Okay.
one word. Lipo, LIPOSOMAL, liposomal
Yeah.
magnesium.
Right. And that's something people could just go out and get
Yeah,
online
and
straight
it
away.
helps. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it helps with children who have sleep issues.
And in terms of like dosage for, is
There's
there, it's just,
there's a
is there,
dosage on the bottle depending on
right.
your child's age, and like
Right.
recommendations just to give it like an hour before bedtime.
Right. Okay. Okay. So might want to. So for some of you who are adults, you might want to try some of that just to have a
Yeah,
good night's sleep anyway, as
and it
well,
can
right?
help with, yeah, absolutely. It can also help with gut issues as well
Right.
and
Okay.
decrease anxiety. It's great, really. Really like
Okay.
lots of purposes for it.
Right. So for those of you who are listening, you just tuned into the Don't Let Them Stop You radio show with me, your host Angela Morris. I'm talking to the most fabulous Taba Bajar and her groundbreaking treatment and support for those parents who have autism. And Tabor, if there's somebody listening and they're a bit on the fence about joining, because of course they're always bombarded and hearing all different things, what would you say that's to convince them that it's worth their Sunday evening to join on this call, which I'm sure is going to be amazing?
So every single person who joins the webinar,
Mm-hmm.
I've had professionals who've joined the webinar who've worked with children with autism for years,
Right,
who've worked with adults with autism for years. They all say they've left learning something new.
right,
It's really like it's a unique program,
yeah,
and it's very, very, very comprehensive,
mm-hmm.
and I pretty much guarantee that everyone's going to leave learning something new about autism, even if they think they're like experts in autism, their children have autism for years and they've
Yeah,
been working in the autism space.
right,
They will leave on Sunday having learned something new,
right.
guaranteed.
So it sounds to me as if there's no one really out there who doesn't need to join because we're all connected in some way or another. And I guess if you have an interest, even though it's not direct, but you just have an interest and you want to know more, I think this
Absolutely.
would be, a great webinar to join. It's free, so you don't have to
Absolutely. And it's
pay
live.
to join. And it's live.
Yeah.
So will there be a Q&A on there? Well, depending on how
There's
many
a,
people
the
join, I
Q
guess.
No, the Q&A is usually always quite long.
Right,
So, because I like to hear from all the parents. So, I
right.
think if a person is joined for the webinar, like I should listen to them. So,
Yeah,
like directly about their child. So, sometimes after an hour, I have to cut the Q&A portion short after
yeah,
that because it
sure.
gets quite late. But otherwise, I generally hear from all the parents as much as I can and answer questions about their child specifically.
Yeah. Which is great. And so for you're obviously you're going to be, well, you are, have been, and going to be quite busy. What does for you what does the future look like for Tabor?
Um, it's very hard to answer. I think I'd like to
Is
write a second
that's
book
the only
though.
question you've struggled to answer, even
I think I think everyone would struggle to answer that. Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years or 2 years or 10 years? It's difficult to answer. But I think I do want to write a second book.
okay.
Um, So my first book is called Unlock Autism.
Hmm.
My TED talk is about the autism switch.
Yeah.
So the title is What if autism isn't just genetic? The switch no one's told you about.
Right.
So I would like to write a second book about that.
Right. Right.
Maybe called The Autism Switch or something. I'm not sure.
Okay. So just so to give again a little not thing, but do you obviously do one to one? Do you do groups as well or
So
not?
I mostly just do group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I mostly just do group. I do offer one-to-ones,
Hmm.
but my group is better because I feel like the parents really learn from each other a lot
Sure.
and they lean on each other. So every parent in the group will have the same mindset
Right.
of how to help, of what they want to do to help their child.
Right.
Um, and and they're all learning from each other. So in the Q&A portions of our group calls, they're all learning so much from each other.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's actually quite motivating. So a parent will have tried something new first, and then he or she will tell everyone else about it, and that kind of motivates the other parent to definitely do it.
Sure. And also the other side, if people feel for whatever reason they feel like they're struggling or they're
Yeah,
not quite getting it right, or they feel just, you've got that bond, haven't you? That community
yeah,
that
yeah,
that pulls you all
absolutely. The
together.
priceless community,
Yeah.
and we're all coming together talking every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like the group program is the best of both worlds because you got
Yeah.
that great community, but you still get the one-to-one support with me.
Yeah.
So where
Yeah.
I've made the one-to-one personalized plan for their child. Any question about their child, they come to me directly.
Right.
So that's going on throughout the whole program. But
Right.
then the actual group calls about learning about all of the strategies of the seven-step program, that's
Yeah.
done on a group basis.
Okay. So what if we've got somebody who literally cannot wait, Tabor, they're feeling, let's, for want of a better expression, they're at the end of their tether and they're saying, "Do you know what? Great having hearing there's a webinar. I've heard this woman. I need her now." How do they reach you?
Through my website is the best way. So
Okay.
autismbrainempowerment.com.
Right.
And also on Instagram, I'm
Right.
Autism Brain Empowerment. And TikTok, I'm Autism Brain Empowerment. And on YouTube, I'm Autism Brain
Right.
Empowerment.
Okay. So they can message, they can reach out to you with a message
Yeah,
because, as I say, I think, what you're doing is nothing short of groundbreaking and amazing. And there will be, in the same way that somebody heard my show last time and got in contact,
yeah,
there may be somebody that's going, I can't even wait till Sunday because
absolutely. Yeah,
that's just where I'm at.
yeah.
So this has been once again amazing and great to have you with us. And just before we close, is there anything that you just a point that you'd like to throw out to our listeners that might be listening to this and feeling maybe a bit anxious or a bit nervous or a bit stressed? What would you like to say to them?
I think if you go onto my YouTube channel and
Right.
listen to my testimonials playlist,
Yeah.
you'll hear so many parents who are in a similar situation. And in the testimonials videos, the parents are saying stuff like they know how hard it is to go to someone to get help, but how much the program has helped their child.
Right. Right.
So I think through those stories, they'll get reassured that this is really, like, really effective and
Yeah.
really
And really
comprehensive.
real. It's the real deal.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
real deal, right? So okay,
absolutely.
so guys, yeah, shoot over there and start to listen if you feel like you just want to get more, because obviously we can't cover everything today, but
No, yeah.
you've got this amazing webinar coming up. And Tabor, thank you so much for joining. And before I let you go, I just want to throw out to my audience, if you haven't yet got my book, Don't Let Them Stop You, It's Personal, you need to go and buy it. And if you haven't got Don't Let Them Stop You, It's Personal for teens, because it's summer, they need to read. This book is designed for teenagers. You need to go and get that. And if you are having communication issues, you need to get my communication journal. And all of these books are on Amazon for the price of a cup of bougie coffee and a bougie pastry. And guess what? You would have drunk the coffee, had the pastry, but the book will still be there. So I'm going to encourage you to go out and go and get a copy of that book and have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And please join the seminar. I'm not going to promise that I'm going to go, but something inside me wants to join your webinar,
You
right?
should join.
Yeah,
Join, you'll learn
yeah,
loads.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited about doing that. Not going to make any promises in case somebody says, "Oh, you're going to be there," but do not be surprised if I am there. So, guys, have a great weekend. Come and join Tabor. Let's learn together, and then we can help
Absolutely.
support the people that we care about and that we love.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having me,
Taba, for
Angie.
coming. You're very, very welcome. And I look forward to having you again.
Likewise. Thanks for
Bye.
having me, Angie. Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye.